Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
Police body cam video revealing how a local judge conducted himself during an arrest on suspicion of drunk driving. Hank?
How the coronavirus could affect your financial bottom line. We have expert advice about what you should be doing right now to protect yourself and your money.
Okay, Hank, but first, how much snow are we in for? 4 Live radar showing a rather unpredictable winter storm moving in. Some communities already declaring snow emergencies before the first flake even hits the ground.
You can find that list, by the way, at clickondetroit.com. We start things off here at 6 tonight with Andrew, who's in for Ben with the latest on a lot of snowmaking coming here.
Kimberly and Devin, as you mentioned, you're exactly right. There are a lot of changes with this system, including since last night and this morning. First change, winter weather advisory now for Detroit and all of southeast Michigan because we have snow that will be developing and it's on the way. Currently, we've got scattered rain and snow. It's on the light side. Many places are dry right now, so travel is not impossible, but a lot of these dry gaps will be filling in as we go through the evening hours. That said, in those places where we do have raindrops and snowflakes, like along 96 in Livingston County, this is key for many folks who are headed to the college basketball game over in East Lansing later on this evening. Be careful on ramps, bridges, and overpasses especially. It's just a little slippery for now, but it becomes a lot more slippery with rain and snow to our south and to our west that are set to move in here within the next few hours. And before midnight tonight, any wintry mix changes over to snow and it gets a lot more slushy and snowy by morning. So that's on my timeline. Rain and snow for now, that continues to develop and arrive between now and 10 p.m. Starting at 10 o'clock tonight, as it gets colder, any wintry mix changes over to snow, and you're talking about all snow after midnight and we wake up in the morning. In fact, by dawn tomorrow, we could have 1 to 2 inches already on the ground. We'll talk about complete snow totals for the storm coming up in just a few moments. Now, you can track this storm system and temperatures with the Local Forecasters app. It puts weather in the palm of your hand, especially when you're on the go. Even if you're at home, the Local Forecasters app, download it now. It is vital. It's free. Search WDIV in your app store.
All right, Andrew. Judge David Parrott's legal problems continue to mount. Today, he appeared in a Northern Michigan courtroom for a bond hearing after his arrest 2 weeks ago in a domestic dispute in his Van Buren Township home. But tonight, Local 4's Rod Maloney has the video of the judge's original arrest for DUI up north. Rod.
We're showing you this daylight video because it is the area where the Sheriff's Department up north says Judge David Parrott's SUV went flying into the snow. The body cam video we're about to show you is nighttime video, so we wanted to give you the perspective that the road kind of makes a left-hand turn and the SUV went straight into the field. It was a tow truck operator who could not get the judge's vehicle out of the snow that brought the Sheriff's Department into the scene in the first place.
So nothing to drink tonight at all? No. All right, very good. I'm going to run through some quick sobriety tests, make sure we're good. Turn face me.
Christmas night 2018, Judge David Parrott greets the officer calmly, and in his first test, he starts talking and then moves his head.
Horizontal gaze, not staking.
Yeah, it only works so if you keep your head straight. Yep.
Which prompts the officer to move right to the breathalyzer. And at that, the judge found himself surprised.
Okay, so you're a .10. So you have had something to drink.
It must have been something that was in the Christmas punch. I didn't realize that.
He did realize he was in big trouble and makes the first of a half a dozen attempts to make this problem disappear.
It's very embarrassing.
I understand that, sir.
Anything we can do?
What's that?
Anything we can do?
No, sir. Not at all.
At this point, the officer snaps the cuffs on the judge, puts him in the cruiser, and then surprises the judge once again.
I'm going to go for a blood test, all right?
Blood test?
Absolutely.
Can I do a breath?
No.
Refused.
What's that?
I haven't refused.
Oh, I know you haven't refused. But you know, as law enforcement officer, I have the right to request the test, and I go with blood.
I'm definitely afraid of needles. Can I do a breath?
No, sir. I'm going to do blood.
While this was considered a misdemeanor, the entire process has been appealed to a higher court, which is why this has taken so long to come to light. Now, today, the judge's bond for the incident here in Van Buren Township ended up reviewed by the Manistee judge, and it turns out that Judge Parrott has to take 4 breath tests a day and submit those results to the judge here. Well, the judge in Manistee wants to see those daily results as well as part of an adjustment to the judge's bond. Reporting live, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Okay, Rod. A suspected thief gets away after chasing a security officer and hitting him with a gun. Police say this man stole more than $1,000 worth of items from the Home Depot on 13 Mile in Roseville. A loss prevention officer tried to stop the man, who then pulled a gun and chased the officer back into the store while hitting him with the gun. The man then ran to his car and drove off with stolen items. Call Roseville Police if you know anything.
Vice President Mike Pence visits Michigan with 2 stops here today. Earlier, Pence was in Lansing visiting the Michigan Farm Bureau. There he thanked farmers and told them the Trump administration will continue to work to limit federal rules for farmers. In Troy, he's shifting his focus to President Trump's re-election campaign, speaking to a crowd of supporters at a Keep America Great campaign rally.
Here in Michigan, you believe we could be strong again. You believe we could be prosperous again. This president's delivered on all the promises that he made to the people of Michigan, and then some.
Vice President also spoke of many of President Trump's key campaign points, including those on the economy, military spending, and work in foreign policy.
Well, we are less than an hour away from Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan's State of the City address. You're looking at live at Flexen Gate Auto Plant, the site of tonight's address. Mayor Duggan is expected to outline new plans to make sure residents are benefiting from the city's redevelopment. You can watch our live coverage right here on Local 4. We'll also be streaming it live on clickondetroit.com.
A 5th student accused in the Warren De La Salle hazing investigation faced a judge today. 18-year-old Cleveland Harville III pleaded not guilty to a misdemeanor assault charge. It comes from the alleged hazing assault at De La Salle High School inside the football locker room. 4 students, you may recall, were charged yesterday. 2 other students are yet to be charged, but they are going to be charged as minors, the others being charged as adults.
Well, tonight, a shift in the fight against the coronavirus here in the United States.
Now, government health officials say they are continuing aggressive efforts to try to contain the virus, but they are also urging Americans to begin preparing for community spread. Dr. Frank McGeorge has been looking into this, well, I was going to say today, obviously since it began, but this kind of ratchets it up to another degree.
Yeah, definitely. So here's an important thing to remember. So here in the U.S., while the coronavirus numbers have increased, it's important to note that if you exclude the Diamond Princess cruise ship passengers who are flown back to the U.S., the number of cases has not increased, and it still stands at 14, which buys time until a treatment or a vaccine might be developed.
The immediate risk to the general American public remains low. But as we have warned, that has the potential to change quickly.
The concern is that the growing spread outside of China will make it more difficult to keep the virus out of the U.S.
Current global circumstances suggest it's likely that this virus will cause a pandemic. In that case, risk assessment would be different, and new strategies tailored to local circumstances would need to be implemented to blunt the impact of the disease and further slow the spread of the virus.
Meanwhile, a vaccine is in the works. A biotech company in Massachusetts has sent the first batch of coronavirus vaccine to the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases in Bethesda, Maryland. There, a clinical trial is expected to begin by the end of April. The vaccine will be tested on several dozen healthy patients.
You need at least 3 to 4 months to determine if it's safe and whether it induces the kind of response that you would predict would be protective.
After that, it would need to undergo larger trials.
That is a trial that we would have to conduct in those countries and those areas where there's active transmission. That itself, even at rocket speed, would take at least an additional 6 to 8 months.
Now, health officials urged Americans not to be discouraged by the time needed to develop a vaccine, saying there is good reason to believe this virus will continue to be an issue, frankly, beyond this season. And you will recall the H1N1 vaccine that was developed back in the days of swine flu did end up arriving in time to prevent many illnesses and deaths.
Yeah, so a vaccine would prevent somebody from developing the illness, but what about people who are already sick? What is the help for them?
Important point. You know, drug manufacturers do have several potential therapies in the pipeline, and if they are found to be safe, their testing will likely be expedited. However, until then, the best thing that we can offer is just supportive care. So, for example, if your lungs fail, we put you on a ventilator, breathe for you until you can recover on your own.
Yeah,
preventatives better than curatives at this point, obviously.
Definitely.
Now, coronavirus health concerns now creating a lot of financial concerns. Today, the Dow fell nearly 900 points on the heels of that very rough Monday yesterday. In all, about 2,000 points lost in 2 days. So what should you be doing to protect yourself financially? Consumer investigator Hank Winchester has been talking with the experts. Worries all over the world about the financial impact here, Hank.
Yeah, Devin, and people should be concerned. This is not only a global health threat, as Dr. McGeorge mentioned, but also a financial threat to everyone. The U.S. keeping a close eye on what is happening overseas right now, knowing that things could take a dramatic turn at any moment.
Coronavirus concerns now affecting the bottom line financially. And as we see images overseas and learn about the threat, the concern is growing. How do we contain this? How does this all play out? The uncertainty is what's causing some markets to tumble, and it may continue.
When is it going to hit here? And if it isn't going to hit? And I think the unknown is really the scary part, Hank.
Financial expert Tom Hakim is keeping a close eye on how the virus is affecting the global economy. And you should be paying attention too.
I still think we're just starting to see the beginning of it. And I think it can only get worse.
Beyond leisure travel, business travel and shipping now being impacted. Already some major U.S. corporations restricting travel to some regions hit particularly hard by the virus.
And it affects the markets because we're a global economy, not just travel and airlines and all the precautions that have been taken and need to be taken and flights canceled. But you got to remember, we transport a lot of goods on those planes as well.
So what should you do right now with your money? It may seem hard to do with the uncertainty, but for the most part, Hakim says be cautious. Don't do anything drastic right now.
You know, you can't be greedy. And this is just a kind of a warning signal. It may be time. People, you've made money, put it on the sideline. You know, stay participating to some degree, but, you know, you're going to have to wait this one out.
And Tom says, you know, beyond Corona, something else that could have a major effect on the market, the election or the election results in November. Right now, though, financial insiders say they do not believe that we are headed towards a big financial mess, think 2008, and warn right now is a good time to be cautious with your money. Kimberly?
Okay, Hank, thanks. Time now for a check of the national stories you'll see ahead at 6:30 on NBC Nightly News.
Let's get to Lester Holt, who's standing by in New York tonight with a preview. Hey there, Lester.
Hey, Devin and Kim, coming up, President Trump taking aim at the Supreme Court, demanding 2 liberal justices recuse themselves from cases that involve him. And ahead of the South Carolina debate and primary, we speak with Democratic candidate Tom Steyer, who sits in 3rd place with Democratic voters in our NBC Marist poll.
Yeah, and we actually hear that he's polling well with African-American voters, too, which is important in South Carolina.
Yeah, he sits in 3rd among African-American voters, according to our poll. Not far behind Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, but Steyer believes he can win. We'll hear from him tonight when we see you on Nightly News.
A big stand for him. All right, Lester, we'll come to you in about 18 minutes from now. Thanks. Ahead for us here at 6, though, there's a lot of new development going on around town, but we're going to show you the one project that has this dog and his pals so excited.
And here's Jason.
There's another major closure coming to I-75 this weekend, and that is only a small part of it.